Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports Podcast. That's Just Oklahoma Sports Podcast and Just an Okay Sports Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review if you would, please. It's my brother Jared. That's Troy. Let's get this thing going, shall we, gentlemen? Jared, you look already so excited to be here.
Dude, what was that intro, dude?
I've seen
more enthusiasm in a graveyard, bro. What are you doing?
Let's just say that pre-conversation of said podcast just has me down. All right, just has me frustrated.
So here's the truth of the matter. Daryl he likes to have things planned out. He likes to have things like lined out of like what you're going to do, what we're going to talk about, and not just in the podcast, but in his life as well. Right? You're a planner of sorts, if you will.
Of sorts.
Okay. Some things you don't care. You'll just go with the flow. Things you've got to plan, right? This is one of those things that it's a pet peeve of yours that we don't have things planned out on this pod or emergency pod or free agency pod or SEC pod, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And so that's why you're just bummed out. You're like, I don't even know where the conversation's going to go.
Here's where it gets, I don't care. I can talk sports for hours on end. It's when we text and go, Troy, can we do a podcast? Guys, I don't know if I can. Troy, we haven't seen you on the pod in like 3. I know, but we've been doing them late and they take so long. They take so long because we put like 3 topics down to discuss and Troy adds 4 more.
It's much better podding. Are you kidding me?
So we're like, I have an idea. Let's rename you two. Just do your own pod. Maybe I can be there as like a intermediary, and it'll be called the Edmund Springs Retirement Home Pod. You two are 2 old men fighting at the domino table, dude. This is what this is. This is what this is.
I love
You're an
this.
old couple.
Did you? Yeah, I think he basically just called us the presidential debate from last week. But either way, that's neither here or there.
We're not stepping into.
Are we going political already?
We are not going to step into those waters.
2 old men just arguing with each other. That makes
hold on. I've got to step into it. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to step in. I'm stepping into it.
My God.
The best part. I don't care what your political affiliation is. The best part for like the last 5 to 10 minutes. You're the worst president. No, it's statistically proven you're the worst president. Back and forth, which led into I'm a better golfer than you. No, have you seen my swing? Dude, I've seen your swing. Like,
dude,
this is the most old white dude thing ever.
Barstool Sports had a top tier meme about that where they were like, Trump acted unfazed the entire debate until Biden said that he was a 6 handicap and Trump nearly fell over. I was like, dude. Oh man, yeah, that was America. Anyway, hey, happy 4th of July, guys. Go USA. Our soccer team lost yesterday, so everything's great.
Hey, you know what? Who cares? We're moving on. We're celebrating our independence.
Let's get in the flow because I want to. Troy's springing stuff on us. I don't know. We have top.
And 10. Hey, the pod. Not only is this a week where we celebrate a new country, a new freedom, a new everything. But there's a lot new to talk about in the podcast because OU is no longer a member of the Big 12. It is official that we are now members of the SEC. We are no longer a team looking for a big man in Oklahoma City because we have signed Isaiah Hartenstein. I still have no clue how to say his name the correct way because every single show
why do I hear when you said it, it sounded like the Young Frankenstein way that they said the Steen really hard, like Hartenstein. Like
Hartenstein. We've got all kinds of things going on. So since Troy has like 7 things he's going to spring, which I'm sure are all NBA related, I think we're going to have to start Thunder today before we go OU.
No, I wanted to bring up the Joe C mic drop first.
Let's just go. Okay, let's go there. We had a welcome to the SEC party thing yesterday in Norman, which why you planned that on a Monday. I understand it was the first official day, but you should have pushed it to Saturday. I'm just telling you, you should have done it that way. It'd have been great. But they had that yesterday. Fine bums in town, had every single coach, every single person from the university on, etc. Then they had SEC Now with everybody on. And Joe C drops, I will tell you without reservation, this is a quote. Every coach that we talked to was excited. And you know what? The ones that aren't here anymore. This is Oklahoma. Either get with it or get on with it. And then President Joe Harris followed it up with, that's what you call a mic drop. Like, didn't even like refute it at all, but like totally affirmed that yes, everybody here is all in with the move. So how do you feel, Troy?
That was so fun. That was so great. There was no hiding about what he was saying.
That was so out of characteristic for Joe C.
It was,
too, by the way.
It was so out of characteristic or character, whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, that was, you sent me that and I was like, oh,
dude,
this is how we're starting it off.
I seriously saw it come across my feed and I immediately went into the Discord and put it in and said, look, I need to make sure that this is real. Like this, this surely did. I thought it was AI generated something. And then everybody's like, oh no, it happened. Like he said it. So Jared, when did you find out that Josie said the unspeakable?
I saw it on Twitter, like I think that night, maybe. Somebody, it was all over my whole Twitter feed was OU, SEC, pictures of the stadium, party, all that. But yeah, just the violence, like, and kudos to him. I mean, I feel like, what's funny is I feel like the chapter that OU's in is just like in that I'm just call it the violent era. Like we've been violent towards the Big 12 and things that they've said about the Big 12. They've been pretty clear with their displeasure with the Big 12, and now they're pretty clear still with their displeasure with Lincoln Riley. I'll just say the name. I don't care. It's not Voldemort. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I love it, dude. Like, this is what that you kind of want. You're like, while Josie hasn't been that way, and Josie has been one of the top athletic directors in all the country for
a long
20 whatever years, like almost 30 years, I think now. At the same time, it's like you want him to say that. It riles up the fan base, it riles up the players, the coaches. It makes people understand that, like, we're not scared, like, we're going through the challenge. We're not going to, well, we could just stay in the Big 12 and win half the conference titles if we want.
I have some stats for you, Daryl.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Were you about to give your opinion on that?
Well, I was just going to say the only thing at first when it hit, I was both with you all of I loved it, and I still do. But it raises so many questions now for me. Like, was it like it raises the question of, was it really like Lincoln just got mad and went off on his own and kind of, leveraged his name and success to get out? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, did he really leave in the middle of the night? Or did he very much express his displeasure to the point of that Josie said just that? You can either get with it or get on with it. And they basically told him, if you're going to be like this about it and not get on board, you need to go. Like, that was the question that it posed in my mind as he said it, the way he said it. Like, I mean, that would just be interesting.
It's the same thing. What's funny about it is it's the same tone that Bob set, or the day after it was, or whatever, when he had this press conference, when he said, it's going to be Oklahoma without me, Barry Switzer, Bud Wilkinson, or Lincoln Riley. Doesn't matter who's here. It's still going to be Oklahoma. And like, that's the pace, and that's that's what they follow. I mean, that's been the tone since that was said. And I mean, that's the attitude they have. Like, you get on with it, or we're going where we're going. You're on it or not. And by the way, can I just do an aside? I'm going to ask both of you, or I guess pose it to you a little bit. If Lincoln Riley was still here,
oh God,
I would, like, legitimately, I would be like, we're going to win like 3 games. Like, we'll win our non-conference and then we're going to get run in the SEC. You would pick off a couple of teams. You pick off a couple of teams, but you would fight tooth and nail to be bowl eligible, because you'd have an undersized offensive line, an undersized defensive line. You'd be running this crappy defense, and your offense is like, your finesse is not going to get you as far in the SEC when you're going to have 320-pound D linemen that are just crushing you.
That's an interesting, because we don't know how much momentum he would continue to carry with Caleb Williams. What would the recruiting look like? Alex Grinch probably still gets the pass because we probably get recruits from that.
But I mean,
think
even
you're right. I think it'd be like a 6-7 win season probably.
well, but I would even say he kept gaining momentum. What players has he recruited that you're just like, oh my god? Like even if you want to take like Danny Stutzman, who was technically a Lincoln Riley recruit, right? Danny Stutzman didn't become what he was until BV got his hands on him and transformed him.
Would you call that a Lincoln Riley or an Alex Grinch recruit?
That's a good question. I would actually call it a Brian Odom recruit.
There you go. There it is.
An Oklahoma boy.
Daryl, what are your thoughts there?
It is an interesting question. I don't know. I will say this. I do not believe that we would be, I guess, ascending to a place of going, yeah, we're headed in a direction that we're going to be on top of. Yeah, because we saw in the Big 12, we were starting to ask the question. He's declined every year. Something's off. Something's not there. We were complaining about strength and conditioning. We were complaining about the D lineman size. Like those were all things that had us concerned in the Big 12. If he would have continued on that trajectory, you got to think we'd be entering the SEC going, oh God. But the one thing you have to give him, he does recruit a good quarterback every time. I mean, like Caleb Williams was legit. And I know we can say he was the second choice, but look, you can't deny his run. And then even the guy he's got committed right now at USC just won the Elite 11. So when you have a quarterback, you always have an opportunity. Like it starts and stops there player wise. And that's why I don't think we'd be going 3 wins. I think that's extreme, but I do think we would be concerned about where things were. And I think it's very clear too, that there were major discipline problems behind the scenes as well, that you don't know how much that would have spiraled out of control. But I don't want to spend, I don't like where we are. I don't like where we are, but I do like where we're headed right now.
I don't want to spend too much time on Lincoln Riley because he doesn't deserve it, frankly. No. So here's some stats. Look, this is going into the SEC. We're now this is SEC country now, right?
Yep.
Good. Here's some stats I pulled up. And this is going to be all the schools in the SEC, all 16. Okay. Kind of historical numbers here. All right. Okay. Pop quiz to both of you. You both get one chance at this. Which school has the most consensus All-Americans of the SEC schools? Hit all time.
It's got to be Bama.
Okay, that's answer number 1, Jared.
I want to say Bama, but I think that's too obvious, so I'm going to give Bama as a secondary guess, but I'm going to guess somebody like Florida.
Okay, Florida has 34 consensus All-Americans all time. Okay, that is tied for 7th. All right.
Okay.
Bama is number 1 at 86. We are number 2 at 82.
Yeah.
And guess who's number 3 is Texas, all the way down at 63. And then it drops again. Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee are tied for 41. That's how much better of a program us and Bama are here on this one, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, and I'm going to do this each and every time. Missouri, only 14 total consensus All-Americans all time. So, all right, let's move on to the next stat, shall we? Heisman winners. Who has the most Heisman winners?
OU.
OU. How many do we have, boys?
7.
7. Next closest. Who is it?
Bama.
That's probably Bama too.
It is Bama. What's crazy because they didn't have one before Mark Ingram.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've had 4 from Mark Ingram on. They've had 4, which is wild. Which is now second in the SEC. Hey, Missouri, how many do you have? 0. There you go. 0. The better trivia question: who has the 3rd most Heisman winners?
Georgia.
Georgia only has 2.
I would say Texas.
Texas only has 2.
Wow.
It's Florida. Tim Tebow, Chris Leak. Well, Chris Leak didn't win it, did he?
Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow won it twice, didn't he?
I don't know. Yeah. You're supposed to have the list stats, man.
I just have the numbers. Okay. LSU and Auburn. Those are the 3.
Okay.
I have 3. Okay. Next. This is a fun one. NFL draft picks. Who has the most ever in the SEC now?
I still think it's Bama.
Okay.
I think it's a total like ever in the
Total.
OU.
That is correct. OU has 417. Bama has 411.
Wow.
Then LSU
Right
has
there.
381. Georgia has 379. Florida has 374. Texas, where are you? Oh, you're sixth at 368. And where are you, Missouri? 232. Thanks for playing. Okay. The crazy part, Bama has by far the most first round picks at 82 first round picks.
Jeez.
Yeah.
82 first round picks.
That's a
Well, I was gonna say
crazy
in the last like 20 years,
Yeah.
Bama has heads
Just
and tails above
blown it
everybody
out
else.
of the water.
Yeah.
All right. No, not the last 20 years, because it'd be more the last 10
15,
years.
yeah, 10, 15 years.
15
Yeah.
years, yeah.
Last 20 years, OU is by far and away the best program in the country.
Yeah.
Last 20 years. Weeks at number 1 in the AP poll.
I think OU owns that one.
Okay, Jared.
OU second behind Bama.
Jared nails it. Bama has 140 weeks. We have 101. Before Bama's run of like 3 straight years of like number 1, we were number 1. We had it. The crazy thing is 140 to 101. The next closest is Georgia at 51. And that's really over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And then Texas at 45. Where are you, Missouri? Oh, there you are, Missouri. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Can I just say, because like I heard somebody say this, I don't remember where I heard it, but it was somebody was like saying, like, Georgia's always been a great football program. And I was like, they're not. Like, they spent the early 2000s.
They've been a good football program.
Yeah.
Not great.
Good.
That's the thing.
They've not been elite. They know, like, up until the last 5 whatever years, nobody was throwing Georgia's name around with Bama and whoever else. Like, that it's just the recency bias with Georgia. It's like they're right now, by the way, phenomenal. I'm not trying to say they're not, but if you're taking it over a wider sample, it's like they've not been a top 10 program.
Yeah. So, I thought those were fun stats for
those
SEC
were good
Day.
stats.
I also like the stat. I don't know the exact stat, but it's like 57% of the Big 12 championships left with OU and Texas.
Oh
like
yeah, it's an absurd number.
Yeah.
2 schools leave, and you like literally are. Yeah, I want to say I want to say it was like the MAC or somebody passed the Big 12 now for like total national championships. Or it was like something absurd. Like the Big 12 is
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Real quick thoughts, quick rapid fire thought. Who wins? Because the Big 12 poll just came out today, right? Who wins the Big 12 this year? Rapid fire.
Utah.
Okay, Jared.
Arizona.
Okay. I'm gonna say my dark horse is Kansas. I think they're one of the top 4 teams, 4 or 5. I'm gonna say Kansas. I think OSU's got a chance.
Yeah.
Utah's got a chance. But yeah, I think
did y'all see, by the way, y'all did see that Ollie Gordon did his best Georgia running back impression?
He really did.
He did his best Deion Burks impression. I mean, let's be real. Both schools have had this issue now this summer. So
anything else you boys want to talk about with OU and SEC or anything?
Well, I wanted to circle back to this. Do we tell the people to stop chanting SEC? Because it bugs me.
Yes.
I didn't like it. Don't like.
Yes.
I understand it was SEC Network. I understand it was SEC Party, but the SEC chant deal just drives me nuts. Still drives me crazy. Unless we're demolishing a legit like old school SEC team and we're chanting it in jest against them, even though we're a part of it.
Dude, the chances of me going to the Houston game are pretty high, and the Houston is a Big 12 school.
Yes,
I will 1,000% chant SEC at that game.
Okay, I see. That's the thing. I'm trying to figure out where the line of doing the whole SEC thing is.
Dude, did I send you all the meme where it was like, it's like a picture and it was like, it's just like one of those domino things or whatever, and it's like the Big 12 not scheduling OU Nebraska at 7 p.m. and then it's like all the way to OU Texas leaving for SEC. It's like I don't care, dude. I will I'll just say this. I'll rile up all of our rivals fans right now. Hate OU. Hate Texas all you want. It is not our fault. I've said this a million times. It's the Big 12's fault.
Yeah.
Screw you, Bob Bowlesby. If you want to go get your pitchfork to somebody's house, Bob Bowlesby is the guy that ran OU and Texas out the door.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And Texas, I think, carries some of that weight along with Bowlesby. But yes, I mean, but it was a cool day nonetheless. It's a new era.
RIP Longhorn Network, by the way. Signing off.
Is it gone? No, seriously, is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's finally done. Finally done. Finally. So that was a funny SEC short deal too. Was like, how many more times are you going to run Vince Young's Rose Bowl on your Longhorn Network to get viewership? Like some type of deal. It was hilarious how much they made fun of that. Then the Longhorns going, if Colt wouldn't have got hurt, and they're like all drinking. Like the whole SEC doing a drinking game every time they hear Texas say, if Cole hadn't got hurt.
Dude, the Longhorn Network that the Longhorn Network was the bane of everybody's existence for a while.
Here, I do want to spin the whole SEC conversation into recruiting. So we got 2 commits over the weekend. We got Darius Afalave, who is the #1 interior lineman out of Utah. And we got Cortez Mills, who is one of the highly rated wide receivers in the country. But listen to this quote.
Our highest recruit
he is,
so far.
Well, it depends.
Okay,
if you're looking at Rivals, he's our highest rated recruit. There's other services. I mean, that dude ranges. Rivals has him as the number 69 overall recruit. I can't remember if it's On3 or 247. One of them has him as the 169th overall recruit. So there's a large disparity on his range. But here is what Darius Afalave said about the SEC. And I thought this was it. This comes from Sooner Scoop, by the way. Their YouTube channel does like a recruiting thing to catch up, and they got to interview him on there. They asked him if OU being in the SEC impacted his recruiting, and he said this: I was all ready. It was had a plan. It was a big reason. I had LSU and Tennessee planned out to go see and to visit. But when I heard word that Oklahoma was officially going to the SEC, I was like, oh, damn, I got to make some room. So I really just cut off those 2 schools completely to get OU in here because of their stability along with the SEC. So he literally had 2 schools he was going to officially visit and go see, and completely cut off any conversations whatsoever with them to make sure that he get to visit OU and be a part of the OU program. I think that tells you what kind of bump being in this conference is also going to bring on the recruiting front. Jared, I'll let you run with that quote and what he said.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? Like, you need more because you're going up against more, right? So yeah, I do think that it leads a lot of credence and respect, I think, we just talked about it. Like, even when OU dominated the Big 12, like, what did you hear from national pundits? Mm-hmm. They won, but it's the Big 12.
Right.
Like, the Big 12, they don't play defense. There's 2 or 3 good teams. That's it. Like, you go to the SEC now, and there's a lot of good teams. They play hard-nosed football. They've got one stat that I don't think you mentioned, Troy, but it's like almost every position, there's an SEC school that's got like the number, or still had the most active players in the NFL, which, by the way, OU is #1 at offensive line. But it does, like, not to use the line, but it means more. Like, it does. Like, guys, if they want to have a career in football, they go to the SEC. Like, that's just facts. And so, yeah, it means more. And I think that you're going to start seeing this. I mean, go look at like some of the forecasts and stuff. And it's like, used to is like every once in a while you would see OU competing with Alabama for a really top 150 guy. Mm-hmm. It's like, now you go look and OU's in a lot of battles. Like, there's like, I think on Rivals, it's like they posted a deal. I think it was yesterday or today. That was like, of the top 20 remaining players that aren't committed on their rankings.
Right.
And it was like, OU is in like on 4 of them, and they're going up against Alabama or Georgia. Like, they're going up against the big dogs, and in some of them they're leading. It's like, we wouldn't have said that at the Big 12.
Right.
So
it also
yeah,
shows that, like we talked about last week, the staff and what they can do. But it's obvious that SEC patch means something. Troy, your thoughts on that, real quick?
I mean, just what you were talking about. I just agree with Jared. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about NBA stuff at the moment. We'll move on.
Well, just so y'all know, Darius Afalave is 6'5", 320 pounds, interior lineman. And apparently, from everything that you read and hear from him, apparently this is a guy that Coach B really wanted and wanted badly and really went after in a big way. So we'll see how that plays out. It does play into the 3-star U talk because he is or 3-star in pretty much all services across the board. Cortez Mills, who we were talking about earlier, though, is a 4-star on basically every service, regardless of how variant it is. 6'1", 160-pound, 65-pound wide receiver. Look, I like his tape a lot. He seems to be very competitive with his hands, really runs good routes. I would not say he has elite top end speed by any of that stretch, but I do think he's quick and his route running is really good. I think his hands are really good. But this is a guy they targeted early and really wanted, and they're getting him. With those two additions, OU now sits at number 9 overall in the team rankings on 3, number 5 at 247, and number 4 at Rivals. So they are pretty, I would say, firmly in the top 10 on the recruiting front, which is awesome. So really, really awesome.
Because I know Troy's going to try to yank this into the NBA, we have one more college football thing to talk.
Okay.
Troy, top 10.
That's at the end. We're going to do that at the end.
At the end? You don't want to do it?
He always wants his top 10 list at the end, even though he's about to make us do some kind of top 10.
Okay, I was just thinking if we're going to go NBA, then back to college. It's fine. It's fine. I'm sorry.
So we're not consistent at this, and that's on me. But I will say this is my 3rd week in a row to be on here, so I'm trying to make more of an effort.
Wow,
I know, right?
True.
But
this will do great for you and Daryl's marriage.
Top 5? No, it's actually worse. It's actually worse. Like every top 5, top 10, it's always at the end. Always at the end. I'll do the game that I'm going to spring on y'all in the middle of the NBA talk.
Oh, nice.
Are you guys ready for NBA talk?
Oh, let's go ahead. Let's cut over to NBA talk, because what everybody was hoping for, including Troy, I think it wasn't his dream scenario, but it was up there.
It was the number. It was there. I had a 1A and 1B. It was 1B.
Correct. And that is Isaiah Hartenstein gets signed to.
I feel like we're going to get canceled.
Troy likes
we're
that
going to get canceled.
Look at Troy.
We're going to get canceled, aren't we? It was fun being on the internet, guys. I'm going to go live in a cave now without Twitter.
Jared, if you would have said something before we were like, I would just let that one go.
I at least made it as a reference to a movie. He's running with it. Like, I gave a toddler.
What did you expect?
I look, Troy, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I basically gave a toddler a can of gas and a lit newspaper and said, have fun.
You did. Hold on. Let me.
Oh my gosh. But not only that, but also the announcement comes down of the extended contracts of Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe, both for 5 more years in Oklahoma City, at least if they don't trade them. So, big day. Troy, you're our man.
Dude. Okay.
Unload.
Okay. I have a lot to say here. All right, where to start? I'm just going to let's talk about I'm going to talk about the signings, then I'm going to talk about the off, and I want us to talk about the off season in general after that, okay? So I'm going to start with the probably the most underrated news of the day. Came out 15 minutes before the Hartenstein news, was them signing Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe to long-term deals.
Yep.
Everything that I have read, everybody's like, how did they get them to sign those contracts?
Yeah. Yep.
They are amazing contracts. So what that does going forward, one, they can build around those contracts. And I think they signed them specifically because of the culture and the team that they have built here. Okay. Because I don't think if somebody comes in calling, we'll give you, 18 mil a year, 15 mil a year, Isaiah Joe or whatever. I think they did this because of the team and everybody loves each other on this team. So it was a hometown discount that I'm going to say here. And I've seen multiple times, like, I can't get over these deals because it also gives them flexibility. Because say they need the flexibility, they can move these contracts so freaking easy going forward.
Yeah.
So kudos to Presti. And you know what? Kudos to the organization and kudos to Shea and the team for building this culture.
Correct.
Because of this. This all stems from that, right? I mean, I saw Chet this afternoon post something just like, I love this place. And it had the Thunder logo in the background. He was practicing with the summer league team. Yeah. And I mean, that's what we want. That's the type of culture we need. Let's move on to Isaiah Hartenstein. We talked about this last week. And Daryl, when I sent you that text on Sunday that Presti was in Eugene meeting with Isaiah, you just said, meh.
I said, meh.
You said, meh. And I told you last week, this was the dude. If you can't get Laurie, which is his asking price is crazy. And apparently just news is breaking like 15 minutes ago. It's the Warriors and the Spurs that is coming down to for Laurie Markkanen's, stuff. And we're going to talk about Laurie Markkanen and your poll here later. Okay.
Yes, we are.
Because there's thoughts there as well. But Isaiah Hartenstein gives you everything that you were needing in the playoffs. Everything. Defensive, because when Chet went out, that's when we started losing. Because we had no rim protection, we had nobody in the paint for that defense. Say they alternate back and forth. Less minutes on Chet, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And you lose no defensive efficiency when he's in the game. Guys, when we're talking about defensive percentage at the rim, Chet was 3rd in the NBA. Ihart was 7th in the NBA last year. We're talking 2 of the best defensive centers in the league. That's what's crazy about this. So you lose nothing. I have no idea who's going to start. That's another conversation, right?
Right.
But they get a 7-foot, 250-pound. Don't look at his numbers because basically this is the dude that Nick Collison always wanted to be.
Yeah.
This is that dude. He sets in immaculate screens. He is one of the best defensive centers in all of the NBA. Now we have 2 of them, right? He is an insane basketball mind. His quick decision making. Go look at stats. Go look at some plays, highlights, things like that. His decision making is through the roof. He's a phenomenal passer at the high post, and his little push floater shot is in the 99th percentile of all players in the NBA for that floater. This dude, like, he can't hit threes. He doesn't shoot them. So there is a little bit of the, like, oh, he's going to clog the lane. Maybe, but let me ask you this. When you watched the Knicks last year, Mitchell Robinson was gone for most of the year, so he stepped in, right? And he was phenomenal in the playoffs. Did you ever feel like the lane was clogged because of him? Never. Jalen Brunson got to wherever he wanted to. And it wasn't because they were loading up coming off of him. They can't, because Isaiah Hartenstein is so good at the dunker spot or high post or the screener spot or the floater. He's so good. He fits everything we need from a mind standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint. This is an A+, a home run get for Presti. By far the biggest and best free agent Thunder signing in history. All right. I have a lot more to say, but I will take a breath.
Okay. Jared, go.
Yeah, I mean, I want to circle back real quick to like you talking about the culture thing, because like talking about signing guys on long-term deals that you're like, how, like you said, how did you do that? And it's like interesting because I was listening. It was actually a podcast a little while ago with, I think it was JJ Redick was talking about how guys in the NBA now, like the NBA has grown to a point where guys are making so much money that it's like if an organization offers you $20 million and that's like where you're going to be comfortable, where you're going to fit in and have a role, and another organization offers you 25, like, yeah, $5 million is a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, you'd rather take the 20 and be somewhere where you're happy and you can build a career out of, rather than becoming a mercenary for hire every year, hoping you get a contract or get traded to somewhere that you can fit in. So I think that's the Thunder have capitalized on that, because that's what we continue to hear. Now to Hartenstein, I'm going to say it properly, Daryl. I think it's a great addition. Like, Troy, you said it like best. It's when Chet came off the floor, you could see a difference on the for the Thunder, right? Especially on the defensive end of the ball. With Hartenstein, you can feel that easily now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is just overall, you can tell that this offseason has been Presti saying we're going to like reinforce our defense to a crazy level. So to see what they're doing and to see what they are like defensively, I'm curious, because like there were times where it felt like the Thunder kind of like ran the ball fast, and on defense they just like they had those times where they like lacked discipline, or they'd have those games where it just felt like they were
which they were top 5 in defense in the NBA last year, by the way. Just
right. Yeah, no, I'm not. Overall, they were fantastic, right? I'm just saying they had those times where it was like if Chet had a bad night, then they would play much less poorly. Just to use it as an example, right? Like there was nights that somebody'd have an off night, and it just kind of felt like you were thin when it came to defense, and now you don't have that concern.
I think they were thin on the interior because they were actually like had an excess of perimeter defenders that were good to perimeter defenders, from Lou Dort to Shea to J Dub to Kaysen. They had and even Aaron Wiggins to a degree. They had a lot of really good perimeter defenders.
Yeah,
but
so
interior they lacked after Jet.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I feel like Presti and the front office have decided that
but they doubled down on their defense. I agree with you, Jared, in that.
But they did. Here's the crazy thing: they didn't sacrifice any offense in that.
Right. I would agree with that. I am curious about the iHeart fit. Now, granted, I believe he's going to come off the bench. I think that's what they're going to do, but we won't know that until the season gets here. But even so, I think with him on the second unit, that's a completely different thing than if you started him. What do you do with him and how do you use him? Caruso is that. Here's my thing, man. Like, look, let's just break this down of the wizardry that is Sam Presti. You signed 2 guys that some people were saying could be making close to $20 million a year for, at the most, then their contract, they have a season that's like $13 million. Like the average on Wiggins is like 10. The average on Isaiah Joe's, I think, is like 12, right? Million a year. So you did that. You had 1 pick in this draft, a first-round pick. You end up with 3 draft picks by the end of the night. Okay. You sign iHeart. You traded Josh Giddey and got Alex Caruso, who, by the way, is a 2-time all-defensive player in this league. And, you gave up 5 second-round picks to do all that.
Okay, CBS.
You did not give up 1 first-round pick.
Yeah.
And gaining
we still have our treasure trove.
Yep. Yeah. So I agree. Presti's pushed in, and I think you're right, Jared. He's definitely leaned more towards defense than offense. Not that he has shied away from the offense, but I mean, the guys he's brought, their elite side is the defensive side, which is only going to lead to more points on the offensive end with the youth and all that of the team. But he's also pushed in to say, we're going to put the pieces around to make a run in these next 2 years, and then we're going to see what happens and what we have to do with draft picks and our big 3 after that, and hope that they've matured to a level where they can carry this thing without having to have the depth that we have right now.
So let me throw some stats out at you with Hartenstein.
Okay.
There were 3 players in the entire NBA that had 85 steals and 85 blocks last season: Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, and Isaiah Hartenstein.
That's impressive with the minutes that he played.
Yes.
That's extremely impressive with the minutes he played.
We have 5 players in the top 50 of the advanced metric of BPM, box score plus minus, right? Number 4 in the entire NBA was Shea, then Isaiah Hartenstein, then Chet, then Caruso, then J-Dub. The only other team with 5 players in the top 50, the Boston Celtics. Okay. Here's another one. Okay. The Thunder were second to last in offensive rebounding last year. Hartenstein was second in offensive rebounding percentage last season.
Yeah.
In the entire NBA. Okay. Here's another one. I mean, this gets better. It's amazing. If we're talking defense, if we just add offensive and defensive efficiency, right? We are so far ahead of everybody else defensively, it's not even funny. Minnesota has the second best defense when it talks about these advanced stats. We are so far above them on paper. Everything starts on paper. We have to see this played out. I get it.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
But on paper, it is wild how much better we are. Hartenstein, screen. This is the thing that we missed last year that I didn't really bring up and then put a lot of stock into because we did have such a good year last year, was we didn't have a dominant screener at the top of the key or anywhere, right?
Right.
He was 14th overall in screen assists per game. He was 5th in offensive rebounds per game, 9th overall in offensive rebound percentages, or second overall in defensive EPM, efficiency per minute. In the block percentage, he was 4.2. He was in the 89th percentile. Okay. Oh, and he only had a 2.1 assist to turnover ratio. The last thing I'm going to bring up, this is the craziest one. Let's look at estimated wins added and lost through the free agency and offseason so far. So we lost Lindy Waters, we lost Josh Giddey.
Yep.
We added Caruso and Ihart. If we just go by that, we added another 13 wins on our team. We're not going to hit 70 wins because we hit 57 last year.
Why not?
But
you said we wouldn't hit 50. Which one of us, by the way? I just was curious. I forgot. It's been a minute.
Holy crap. Yes, I know. We all get it. And we have given you props.
You gave a toddler gasoline and a magazine with a matchbook, Troy, when you let him go with his 50 wins.
I will say this. I think as of right now, things have to play out, injuries, all the things, right? Anything less, I think you called it, Daryl, the other day. Anything less than a conference finals is a disappointment next year because of what we've done in the offseason. It's really kind of championship or bust, but anything less than that is a real disappointment. Yeah. And how Presti has done all of this, the entirety of the offseason, this is his, we all said, is like, when is he going to push the button? Like, when now? Yeah. He did. He pushed the button without sacrificing the future at the same time.
100%. Yep. And you and I texted about this. When I first saw the contract numbers, I thought, okay, I understand we're a smaller market. You pay a little bit more, right? Because of that, whatever. But I was not real happy with it. But then when you realize it's front loaded and they still have 8 million plus in cap space and the third year is not even guaranteed. Like,
no, it's And I don't think they're going to fill that last roster spot because what does he like to do when we're in win now mode is buyout guys. Yeah. He likes buyout contracts and like add a piece through that or the trade or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. Now let's spend all this positivity to what I think some fans are going to call very, very negative thought process. They're going to call it somewhat of a doom. So I put up a poll today on the Twitter sphere. Mm-hmm. And I put no names to it. I said player A, 6'5", 195 pounds, career average, 16.5 points, 4.2 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 39.5% from three-point range, 81.3% from free throw, and a defensive rating, which some people don't like, but I was trying to find something, at 113.6. Player B, 7 feet, 240 pounds, career average, 18.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 37.5% from three-point range, 86.6% from the free throw line and a defensive rating of 119.9, which is not as good as 113. Okay. And one of those two players, I didn't even put it in the poll, has been selected to an all-star team. And that is player B. Which one would you rather have for the long term on this Thunder team?
You should have put age in there as well, and years in the league.
Okay, fine. 27 and 23. 27 player B, 23 player A.
I'm going to go say player A, and that's not bias.
Wow. See, I'm a little shocked because obviously the players are J-Dub and Lauri Markkanen. Those are the players. And so you would rather have J-Dub for the long term over the next 5 or 6 years.
If we're doing all things equal, I would rather have Lauri Markkanen. But we're not talking about all things equal. We're talking about for this Thunder team. I think J-Dub is the better fit for this Thunder team than Lauri Markkanen is with Isaiah Hartenstein in tow. Does that make sense? Because we need more 5-out, even though Lauri can play 5-out, but he is more of a defensive sieve than anybody else on that. He would be the worst defender on the team immediately.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. But to what Jared said earlier, when you have iHeart, when you have Caruso, when you have Dort, when you have Kaysen, when you have Shea, I think you can afford to have a 7-foot defensive problem on the court. And even Chet is elite defensively. So, like, for instance, you just said one of the teams right now that is strongest link to Lauri is the Spurs. With CP3, Lauri, and Wemby,
CP3 is a shell of himself.
I agree with that, but he doesn't have to be anything with those two guys on the court with him. And if they struck if they struck bronze in the draft with anybody, that team's a problem. Just in sheer size, they're a problem. The pick and rolls, the lobs, the fact that Wemby can hit, like, you're going to have two, like, you could literally do almost a double screen system with one rolling, one staying back, and then based on whatever the defense does, one's popping a 3 in your eye or one's doing the lob down at the rim, or no one does anything with CP3 and he can literally limp with his cane all the way to the rim and put a layup in.
Like I said, J-Dub, years in the league, this was J-Dub's second year in the league. This was Lauri Markkanen's 7th year in the league. Okay. He's going to, and things are not all equal. If we're saying like just who's the better player, Lauri Markkanen, no question. Right.
And
I'll give you that.
And it's his prime years over the next 5 or 6 years,
right?
Correct?
I get it. But if we're talking about the next 10 years, 10 to 12 years, that J-Dub, we could have J-Dub, right? That's the plan, is having the next 10 to 12 years, not the next 3 to 5. Okay, this is like a long-term plan. On top of that, Lauri Markkanen is gonna garner a lot more salary than J-Dub.
Because he has the All-Star next to his name.
Because he has the All-Star, all the things, right?
Well, here's my question. Let me push back on that. Because Lauri's contract needs to be negotiated now. That's one of the reasons that they are trying to trade him. He has 1 year left on his deal. Right. So his big contract's going to start essentially now, moving forward with one All-Star appearance. J-Dubs is 2 years away. And if he is what we think, I think he will have an All-Star team under his belt in the next 2.
Agreed.
And you're not going to sign his contract for 2 more years. So technically, his contract with the way the NBA is working is going to be a lot more expensive than it is to get Lauri right now and sign him right now to a 5-year deal and have him for the next 5. Does that make sense?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Because if you wait 2 more years and sign him, the numbers are only going up on these contracts. They're not going down. Sure, and I don't think you're going to see the same bump in the salary cap that you've seen.
No, because here's the thing. Lauri is coming off of his second deal, like his rookie extension deal, right? J-Dub's getting his rookie extension. It's a big difference between the two.
That makes sense. I didn't think about that factor.
That's a huge difference between. So Laurie's going to get a massive, massive payday, where J-Dub's going to get a huge payday, but it's going to be a rookie max extension. Laurie's probably going to get a max extension to what he can off of his rookie extension.
Gotcha. That makes more sense.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
So. But I agree with you. Like we're splitting hairs here because I agree with you in a vacuum, all things equal, Laurie's the better player, right? He's even probably the better fit for the team, but all things are not equal
right
here. So because what's happened now with Hartenstein coming in for 2 years, right? At least 2 years. Caruso, and I am hearing rumors they're trying to lock up Caruso for the long term as well.
I've heard the same. Yep.
Which is just fascinating to think about. That means they don't care about going over the first apron. But if they do that, because they're going to sign J-Dub and Chet to the max rookie extensions.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does, it allows J-Dub and Chet. The beauty of all of this is they have allowed J-Dub and Chet to continue, and Shea for that matter, to continue to grow. Getting rid of Giddey has put the ball more into Shea and Chet and J-Dub's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah Ihart and Caruso don't need the ball in their hands.
No.
And so you're going to let those three develop because they are the core, the extreme core of this team. And you're going to let them continue to develop. So these players are the quintessential role players to allow them to continue to be their best selves and grow. So after the 2 years, after Hartenstein comes off the books, J-Dub and Chet should be good enough to be able to carry the team with Shea from that point on.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of all of this. Caruso, if he's here, great. If he's not, great. I think he's going to be here because I think he's going to love the team and the culture and everything like that. He feels both of these players.
And he's on the back end of his years. He's on the back end of his years.
30.
He's 30. He's going to be 31 by the start of the season.
So he's got 2 years of prime Caruso left, right? Essentially, we got 2 more Dorts on the team, by the way. High energy, high character dudes that want to ball.
Yeah, totally agree. And the other thing that we haven't talked about with that idea of trading J-Dub for Laurie or doing some package that way, I think is like we've said over and over, the chemistry and culture. Jared comes back to that in almost every sport. That's a major win for him. You don't rock the boat of culture and chemistry that you have on the team. And I think it could very much be a subtraction scenario of not only losing a future talent, but the chemistry that's there.
Well, I mean, there's not a statistic for it, right? Like, but just look at history, right? Like, I'll use college football. Like, we've seen all the college football programs that rose to the top had what ended up being terrible cultures, and then they sank to the bottom. And a lot of them are still dumpster fires to this day.
Yeah.
Right. And the same in basketball, right? Like, we've seen the irreparable damage that players have done or whatever to a locker room. And it's like, again, my thing isn't, just build a great culture. It doesn't matter how good the players are, but Presti does, I think, take that into account. I think he is a very smart and wise guy in that realm. And he's not going to just bring, like I said, we were talking about this. I love Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook will always be the quintessential Thunder player to me, right?
Preach.
He does not have a spot on this team.
No.
He just doesn't. And that's not a knock on him. He's a phenomenal basketball player.
His temperament just doesn't fit. Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't have the temperament, he doesn't have the attitude for this. He's too much of a type A personality. He's too much of just an alpha that would clash. So anyway,
I think it's a big thing. One last thing to say about the Hartenstein thing, and it's really kind of a rant on the sports animal, and really Sam Humphries and Jim Traber. Because if you listen to them, what did they say? They're very both. I actually like both of them. Like listening to them, very entertaining on the radio. But if you listen to both of them after the playoffs, what did they both say? We needed hardcore.
Rebounding.
Rebound. Right. Then, and by the way, we don't just have a track record of Presti doing all the right things in pushing all the right buttons. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In the moment, we're like, that's phenomenal. The Carmelo trade, the PG trade, all the things, right? And they criticized the draft picks. Notice we didn't talk about the draft because Topic was a good pick towards ACL down the road. When we're strapped for cash, he's going to be a great addition. Yes. Honestly. Dylan Jones going to be, I think, could be a plug and play player in 2 years, right? I think it could be good. So we didn't talk about that, but they were throwing Presti and the Thunder under the bus on the radio and calling out their draft picks. This is terrible. This is stupid. Really, everybody on the Sports Animal was. I'm like, first of all, GMs have a plan. They draft who they want to draft because they know who they're going to go after in the free agency as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all part of a plan. So you can't take one without the other. And so even like Sam and Trey were each said, like, I'm nitpicking. I'm throwing Presti under the bus with their picks here. I want to see if it's going to be different, depending on who they get in free agency. Guess what? They got exactly what you say we needed in free agency after the playoffs, and they were still throwing them under the bus for getting them. I don't know how Hartenstein's going to fit. I think Caruso could be fine, but I don't know how Hartenstein's going to fit. It's like, that's exactly what you're saying we needed for this team.
Right.
And honestly, it is. This is an A++ offseason, probably the best offseason that Presti's ever had.
Yeah.
This is by far and away the most complete team Presti is ever going to put on paper that we've seen. Now, I'm not saying this their best team. I'm saying it's the most complete team, top to bottom.
Yeah. He made, like, the way I look at it is he made this team better and also reinforced it. Like, he has insurance policies in place.
100%.
That's a great way to say
like it. Like, you already have, like you said it, Troy, you already have the treasure. Now you're really fortifying it. And that's what he's doing. And he's doing it. Like, the fact that people are criticizing him, to me, is mind-boggling. But
and look,
ridiculous.
We cannot deny little things like this. The reach picks, for the most part, there's one that I think is glaringly terrible. The rest, some of those reach picks that Presti has made, he's hit 85%.
Which one are you referring to?
Poku. Trading up to get Poku was a miss. That's the one. Okay. The rest, he's had the pick, right? He's had the pick, and it hasn't worked out. Like a Mitch McGary, right? A miss down in the 14-15 range in the first round. Trading up to Poku was a complete swing and miss. Okay. But for the most part, Russ was a reach and a hit. Adams was a reach and a hit. I mean, you can just keep going down. Even Harden to some was a reach and a hit. So forth, so on. Like,
Russ was some to a reach and a hit.
Well, yes. And so all that to say, here's my thing that I heard on the Down to Dunk podcast that I didn't know. Dylan Jones, who they took with that second pick in the first round that they had, did you know he was in the draft process last year and met with Sam Presti?
I didn't know that.
And Sam Presti said, if you are in the second round, you are ours. Because he was considering pulling out of the draft at that point. And he said, in the second round, we are taking you. We will do what we have to go get you in the second round. He chose to go back to college. Here's the other big thing. And y'all, I sent this to y'all. He went back and was offered huge NIL deals to go to the likes of Kentucky's and, UCLA's, these big brand name schools with huge NIL deals. He said no for the purpose of, he said, I wanted to be the guy at Weber State so I could learn and know what the guy needs from the other players. In other words, as he went through the draft process, he knew he could play in the NBA. He also knew he would never be the guy. Does that make sense? But he went to a school where he was the guy to learn what those role players needed to be for the guy. You want to talk about a fit from a culture perspective, honest with himself, a reality check of what I need to be. I don't know, man. I watch his tape. There's things I like, I don't, but his mentality, there's something there, man.
Probably the best interview I've seen, in a draft interview I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Impressive. Go
And
ahead, Jared.
another thing, just to touch on the draft picks. That was one thing I don't remember. I think you sent it to us, and I've seen it a number of places. The fact that he did the Giddy Caruso trade straight across,
Yeah. And didn't
like
give
GMs
up.
were like, "What?"
Wild. Yes.
Like the fact, and like this is what people like. Again, this is where people miss on Sam Presti. He's still sitting on 482 draft picks or whatever he's got.
Yeah.
Like that's what I keep telling people.
Year's
Like,
draft is huge, and he has 4 to 5 that he could have.
yeah. Like he is in that position where he's like Game of Thrones reference, dudes. He's on the Iron Throne right now with draft picks and being like, dude, who wants it?
Yeah.
And
look, dude, I'm gonna be straight up. I love Topic's tape. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know how to say his name. Nothing. I love what I see there. I mean, if he truly develops, and I love that he is going to be healthy apparently in about 3-4 more months, but they've already said he's not playing, which means he's going to just be working with Chip. He's going to be working in their development stuff behind the scenes and watching like Chet did for a whole season, which totally different circumstances. I love it. Like, and look, all the potential we saw in Josh Giddey is still there with a 6'6", 6'7" point guard that you're bringing in that's a better shooter at the base level than Josh Giddey was when he came, in my opinion. Like, so he's starting from a higher baseline. I don't think he's ever going to be a 40% three-point guy. Right. But I will say this, his free throw percentage gives me hope because he shoots in the 80s from the free throw line, which Josh Giddey never did in his career, which kind of shows you he's just not a natural shooter. Dude, what an off season.
All right, all this NBA talk. You know, I love the NBA. Like I was talking to my dad today and he's like, tell me about your thoughts on the iHeart signing. And I went off. Like he's like, I can't tell you love basketball or not. Here's the game. Ready for the game?
Oh,
this is a new game. We are going to play a draft, okay? It's going to be a simple draft, snake draft. Okay. Daryl, you're going to go first. I drew straws. I flip coined. Daryl, you're going to go first. I'm going to go second. Jared, you're third. Second round. Jared, you're going to be third. You're going to be first. You know, that's snake draft goes.
Yeah.
We have 5 picks. Who can make the best team in the NBA? All the players on the table. Okay. So Daryl, you get to go first.
Yep.
And you get to pick, and I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to look at the teams after each of us have picked 5 players, and we'll put a poll out who had the best team.
Okay.
Drafted on the podcast. Okay, Daryl?
For like this season, like just for this season.
This past season, who has the 5 best players, and everything is taken into account. Age, injury, status, all of that. Everything is taken into account. It's not a vacuum. Okay. All right. So we're going to start. Daryl, you're on the clock. You have 3 seconds.
Jokic.
Okay. I will take. I'm still going to take. I'm going to take Giannis.
I'll take SGA.
I don't think that's a bad pick. So you got another pick right now here, Jared. I don't want to take. Please don't make me take this dude. Please don't make me take this dude. I don't want him. Shoot. I don't want this guy.
I'm gonna take Jason Tatum.
Oh, God. Okay. Shoot. I'm going to take here. Freaking monkey crap. You both suck. I'm going to take Luca. I did not want to take him, man. All right, Daryl, you got 2 picks.
Oh, man. Okay. I am going to take. Oof. Man, this gets hard.
I love this game, man. We're going to do this.
I am going to take LeBron.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm going to take Kyrie.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm writing that down. We're gonna do this more often, and we're gonna do this with a lot of different things. Like for instance, I thought I was thinking about this today. I was like, who has the best running back room? Like we'll do like 4 picks for running back rooms of the NFL, or who has the best, um, like first baseman room or whatever. We never talk baseball here, but
yeah.
I was just thinking about that. All right. So gosh dang, you're gonna make me take the next guy I don't want to take. I'm gonna take KD.
Okay.
God, this is the team I did not want.
I'm gonna take Joel Embiid.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
a great call there. And then who you got coming back the first of the 4th round? By the way, Joel Embiid ended up at the last pick in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see this. Oh, this is tough.
See, this is a fun
Okay.
game.
Okay.
See y'all.
Okay. I know you guys hate this guy. I'm gonna take him. And Edwards.
Okay. I will take Steph. Okay, Daryl, you got 2 picks, Daryl.
Right. And these are my last 2, correct?
These are your last 2. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anthony Davis.
Dang it. All right.
And Jalen Brunson.
Freaking A, you suck. Those
Not
were
gonna lie,
literally
boys.
my 2 guys I was going to take.
My team is legit.
God dang it. Okay. My last pick. My last pick, my ladies. Oh, I don't like any of this. Yeah, I'm gonna go and do it. I'm gonna take Wemby.
Oh, it's a great pick.
Yeah.
It's a good pick.
Okay, your last pick, Jared.
Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
All right, so here's the teams.
Okay.
Jokic, Daryl, yours is Jokic, LeBron, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Jalen Brunson. You're gonna have 3-point shooting problems. Mine is Giannis, Luca, Katie, Steph, Wimby. I have size problems.
You
Not
have
length, but like
culture
girth.
problems, dude.
Yeah,
I have
culture
girth
problems.
Giannis, okay, hold on. Giannis is not a culture problem. Luca is. Steph's not.
Giannis has become a culture problem. He has gotten 2 coaches fired.
I don't think that's on him. Has it been proven that it's
Yes.
on him?
Yes.
Okay. And then Jared, you have SGA, Tatum, Embiid, Ant, Cat. If I had to
Not
pick
bad.
in a vacuum, okay. So I'll text these to you, Daryl, and you can post them. Okay.
Okay.
As a question.
Okay.
But what do you guys think about my impromptu game that I sprung on you?
I like it, actually.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not as bad
I
as
wish I had a little bit more
time.
time to prep, but I like the. I'm not. This is you're much more passionate about the NBA than either of us are. So
was there anybody in this that you thought like, oh, we didn't draft him? Why didn't we draft him?
I was a little shocked that J-Dub wasn't drafted just because of how good he is on both sides. Like I kept trying to think through and I was like, man, but I went in my mentality, when it ended up in the draft the way it did, Jokic at center, Davis at the power forward, LeBron at the small, and then 2 guards that I think are, elite,
Yeah.
and Kyrie and Brunson.
Even Chet a little bit, but there's just so many good bigs.
I am surprised.
Jaylen Brown, I was a little surprised didn't make a squad.
Jaylen Brown's the one that I was going back and forth in my head.
Me too.
Like Jaylen Brown is so good. If you didn't pick both of those guys, Anthony Davis or Jalen Brunson, I was going to take one of them as my last pick.
Mm-hmm.
But Jaylen Brown, and then I was scanning the list. I was like, I got to take Wemby. Like Wemby could be MVP next year, frankly. Like he could be. He's that big of a freak. Nobody else that shocked me that we didn't pick, like Zion maybe, but injury prone.
No.
Kawhi injury prone. Damian Lillard is sucks at defense, right? Like Tyrese Maxey's the one that's and De'Aaron Fox is they're really good, but there's so many guards on that list already.
Yeah, it's tough.
Anyway, all right. Shall we go in? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was surprised that Embiid fell where he did for me.
I know. I was in between.
I forgot.
I was in between Embiid and Jokic with my first pick.
He did. Obviously, he was injured, but he was also. We talked about all season. Like if he hadn't got injured this season, he was probably MVP.
He was MVP.
Yes, I agree with that, and that's why. But Embiid for me is a little bit like Cat in that neither one of them has won anything big ever. Like they've never carried a team deep before, whereas Jokic has. That was
Cat did get the team to the conference finals this year. That is deep. Are you kidding me?
I feel like this was tough. I feel like this is really tough because I feel like all of our teams are incredibly good because we just picked basically top 15 players essentially. You know, I mean, so
yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
but I would like to you're going to post that to Twitter and get reviews.
Yeah.
All right. So awesome. Now we need to go to our top 10 that we
top 10.
Top 10.
I wrote mine down.
I've got them right here. So I did not put any criteria, just the top 10. It could be like instances or teams or best records, whatever you wanted to do. Okay. We're not going to go 10 to 9 like we usually do, Daryl. We're going to go through your top 10. Do it right though, Jared, where you start with 10 to 1. Okay.
So this was all spurred on by the toughest places to play according to EA Sports College Football that they released a week and a half ago. And we were kind of debating that we thought a lot of those were off. So we decided we'd come up with our own list of top 10 toughest places to play. Troy gave us no criteria because we were trying to figure that out. Well, did they do tradition? Did they do win percentage? What did they do? So Troy basically said, fine, no criteria. You make your own top 10 list, not 25, but top 10. So who's going first?
I think these lists are going to look wildly different. Who wants to go first?
Jared does.
Jared?
Yeah. Okay. So I use the methodology like I'm in front of a class. So I use the method. The way I thought about it is I wanted to try to put it as an atmosphere that was on as equal a platform as possible, right? Because you can look and be like, oh man, I was at OU Tennessee, right? Mm-hmm. And that game was wild, right? Or whatever. And it's crazy atmosphere, but I don't want to base it all on that. So I put in, imagine the team was in EA Sports and every player's 99. They're top tier football program and they're playing another top tier football program. Which one is going to be the rowdiest atmosphere to be in? So just cranking it all up, just pure atmosphere. Okay, Troy's laughing, whatever.
Do you have any honorable mentions before we jump into it?
Wisconsin.
Troy always has honorable mentions to his list.
Oh yeah, I got 6 honorable mentions.
Oh my god.
I do like Wisconsin because I do think they're a rowdy school. Yep. And I do like their jump around tradition that's well known. So they're definitely probably one of my honorable mentions. But yeah. But I will give you my number 10, Michigan. All right.
That's my number 10 to spoil it. That's
yeah. 10.
Our lists are going to be Michigan. Wildly different. Hey, we're the
Michigan,
same.
the big house. The big house is legit. Whenever they've played big games, they're really, really rowdy. They're really, really crazy. It's 100 and whatever thousand people. So 9. This is going to shock some people, and then maybe it's a little bit of bias. I'm going to admit some bias in my next 2 picks. Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M has an electric atmosphere, but I think Daryl highlighted it's a lot of chanting. It's a lot of, I think it's overhyped. And it's just cheesy. It's just the whole, we're going to have practice for chanting or whatever. Shut up. Nobody cares.
Quick question,
8.
Daryl. Do you have A&M in your top 10?
No, I do not.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Go ahead, Jared. Wow.
8. 8, and y'all are going to hate me for this, and it's fine because I know it's probably too high. Oklahoma. But I put 8 just because, the chase for 8 Oklahoma. But you got to admit, we've been to some games that were incredibly rowdy. If you're talking
100%.
about OU playing Ohio State or OU playing Tennessee,
Which
or
one was the most
games,
rowdy game you guys have been to?
Texas Tech.
Yeah,
Texas,
Jared?
the jump around game, and
Same.
what was that, 08?
Same.
But everybody I've talked to that's been to both say it's Nebraska from 2000.
No, I've been to both. Number 1 was Texas Tech. Number 2 is Nebraska. The only difference with the Nebraska game, it was unexpected. We thought we were going to lose. Well, we're playing with the big boys now. Right. We're down 14-0, right?
Can I tell a quick story about a game that was not close that was amazing to be at? Daryl and I were both at. OU A&M 77-0.
Yeah.
Oh, I was right there too.
Oh yeah.
It was the best part of that whole experience is OU just started letting them through and sack Paul Thompson because they were like, we're just beating you to death.
And they did that in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the Texas A&M players got up and did a sack dance. And I remember the whole stadium went completely eerily silent for 5 seconds. And I swear to you, a guy behind us said, "Screw them, make it 100." And everyone there lost their minds. It was and they threw a ball, scored a touchdown.
My number 4 on the list is the rain game where Samaje broke the single game rushing record.
Yeah,
the fans were crazy in that game, and there were a lot of fans there because the rain was so heavy.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. So keep going.
So okay, 8 Oklahoma, 7 Auburn. I think for one, the Iron Bowl being played there, but Auburn is this team that when they are really good, that is a rowdy atmosphere. 6 Bama. Now I know a lot of people talk about how Bama isn't as rowdy as you would think. That's why their 6 is a little low. But still, they get up for the Iron Bowl. They get up. They were up for the Texas game. As much as people don't want to say they were up for that game. Georgia, number 5, playing between the hedges. I know that's a little bit of recency bias, but still an electric atmosphere. 4, the Ohio State University. Crazy atmosphere. Horseshoe's crazy. 3, Penn State. Whiteout games is hard to match. Whiteout games are wild. So crazy. 2, LSU. We already talked about it. They're all messed up. They're eating crocodile. They're drinking bayou water. 2 is LSU. Number 1, Tennessee. And I'm telling you guys, this is my bias being there. And I just referenced it earlier, but being at Neyland Stadium for the OU Tennessee game, I'm telling you, I've never been in a stadium that big that I thought was going to collapse on itself. It was so loud. It was so rowdy. I'm telling you, it was like sitting at a rock concert and you were sitting front row right by the speaker. It was insane. I've never been in an atmosphere like that. So I got to give props to Tennessee. You're my number 1 toughest to play in.
Okay.
Daryl, you want to go? You want me to go?
No, I'll go since you already had this in your list or in your mind. So I'll disappoint you. Number 10, I'm gonna get roasted. My honorable mention was the 12th man of A&M. I know it's big. I know it holds a lot of people, but again, it's very much choreographed chanting. It's not unhinged insanity in that place. It's just a whole lot of people doing pre-made chants that they practiced the night before. That doesn't make it scary. Number 10, Oklahoma. I do think we're an entitled crowd often, but when it is big, they go big. That's the thing. But they're not unhinged all the time. Even for games that we are halfway concerned about, people sit on their hands until it becomes needed for the crowd to get going. So I put them at 10. 9, I put Ohio State. I think they're kind of in that. I have them in that same kind of category. He's going to give
us his whole list before he even gives us.
Number 8, Michigan. Number 7, Penn State. For me, the whiteout is legit, and that's why they made the top 10 for me. I don't think during the day, though, Like it's the same thing. Like the whiteout stands out in your mind because it's kind of like the terrible towels of the Steelers, but like that's kind of the thing. It's not deafening. They're not known for shaking it up. Bama at 6 for me. I think they get pretty wild when it gets going. 5, Georgia. I love the shoulder pads with the spikes all over the stadium. That kind of like they kind of become a little unhinged of a crowd. And again, I think that the thing you see with Georgia is they don't have 100-year tradition of being elite. But they are always rabid. And when they're really good, they're even more rabid. That's the way I see them. Number 4 for me is South Carolina. I have never seen that place not be unhinged, ever. If you watch their stadium, they are unhinged. Now, their team has not been good. That's the problem. But their fans turn in and turn out and are unhinged. Number 3 for me is Auburn. Number 2, Tennessee. And I agree with you, Jared. That place, they are rabid, no matter what, always going, always rocking. And number 1, and it is a long leap across the cavern to number 1, and that is LSU. I don't care if it's 11 a.m. I don't care if it's nighttime. That place is going to lose their minds and threaten your family. So, yeah.
Okay. Those are good lists, but they're not the best lists. Okay. So my honorable mention, I have Auburn, Florida State, Wisconsin, Utah, OU, and Georgia.
Oh, right? OU's those not even in your top 10?
Not even my top 10.
Another school that I wouldn't put as an honorable mention real quick, Florida.
Yeah, okay. Swamp.
Florida is in my top 10, FYI.
Yep. Okay.
And another team that should be called out, should be given some credit, is Vautech. Vautech has great home games.
Yeah.
My 10 already alluded to is Michigan. My number 9 already alluded to is Ohio State. My number 8 is somebody, I don't know if either of you called it out, because what I did with my criteria is what we discussed kind of last week was winning percentage at home and crowd. Okay. So not one more than the other, although my top 2 kind of goes against my criteria. Okay. But Clemson comes in at my number 8. Okay. My number 7 is A&M, because the rowdiness is so much, the chants are so much. My number 6 is Tennessee. I want to put them higher, and I'm sure if I was at that game, Jared, I would have put it higher, but I didn't. My number 5 is Bama. My number 4 is a team that nobody mentioned, and it has tremendous atmosphere, is Oregon.
They were not honorable mention for me, yeah.
Oregon has awesome atmosphere, and it is so freaking difficult to win there. I mean, we got the freaking ball there, and we lost. We got the ball in the onside kick, and we lost, right?
Yep.
So there you go. They got the refs in the back pocket. My number 3 is actually the Swamp. When they are rocking, the Swamp is crazy.
Yeah.
I've been there. It is wild.
Yeah, I'm going to try to go to a game this year.
Yeah, I dude, that's going to be, tell me how it is, because I want to see it.
Yeah.
Take some video. My number 2 is kind of like instances. A whiteout night game with Penn State, I think is incredible. Is the whiteout games at Penn State is an absolutely incredible. And Daryl, I completely agree with you. Death Valley, and I think specifically Death Valley at night. Is almost unwinnable.
Yeah.
I agree with you. They're crazy if it's 11 a.m. or 7 p.m. They're crazy. It doesn't matter if it's a Thursday night or a Sunday night and everything in between. But dude, a Saturday night, 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. game in Baton Rouge is freaking wild. And so I think that's my top 10 hardest places to play in college football.
Ole Miss is another one that didn't make no one
mention. Ole Miss is a good one.
Yeah, that should be. But again, I think they're more known for the tailgate scene than the atmosphere. That's my thing.
But they have said some upsets against like powerhouses like Bama and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
they absolutely have.
Can I just touch on something before we wrap things up?
Yes.
Because you're both going to care about this. EA Sports released their video about the Dynasty mode. 32 team online Dynasty. So are we doing it just okay sports Dynasty? We have to, right? At least with like the 3 of us.
Are you getting it for Xbox or PlayStation, Jared?
Xbox.
That's
on Daryl.
Here's the thing. I want to say yes, but watching just what's involved in the recruiting part of it today.
Hey, Daryl, like Jared, just join our dynasty that we're doing with Tyler. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. We can put Tyler. Tyler will just be, he's the honorary just okay podcast member.
Yeah,
but
see, there you go. You good with that, Daryl?
3,500 plus recruits generated every year. Regional powerhouses in recruiting. So if you recruit Miami or whatever, like they're considered a dude, I'm so hyped for this game. Like, just give it to me. Put it in my veins now.
I'm taking a few days off, and I don't mind saying it.
I'm straight up though. Like, I thought about this today because Tyler even said, he's like, dude, this is so much more in depth than the old version that we all used to play. Like, there is so much more to it.
Okay.
I was sitting there thinking about it, like, I don't know, like how long is this going to take me every week to get through the recruiting and through a game every single week to go through this deal? And I was like,
stay up late anyways. It doesn't matter.
And here's the thing. It made me sad for college football coaches. Because, like, literally, we're pressing a button that says, oh, do tradition. Oh, recruit them on winning. They're having to make those phone calls. Like, all the thing, and even the whole, like, keeping up with your current roster so that they don't bail and leave in the transfer report. Like, holy crap. What a job.
I'm just saying, like, this game has been forever coming. I'm just ready. Like I said,
we're 2 weeks away.
Yeah, has everybody pre-ordered it? I've already pre-ordered it.
I've already pre-ordered it. Yeah.
Pre-ordered. But that and Madden, I did the whole bundle.
Yeah, I
have
care.
to take a pee so bad, y'all. Hurry up and wrap this up.
You got to go make dinner too. So
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I'm 3 minutes late.
Hey, real quick, Troy. House of Dragons, you seen it, right?
Of course I have. Are you kidding me?
Okay, fantastic. I'm still finishing this latest episode.
It's a little slow, but it seems like this next episode's about to ramp up.
Yeah, there's definitely. I'm already like to the point where I'm like, yeah, things are heating up. So
I've been watching Suits more than anything right now. I'm on a Suits kick.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that either. So,
and by the way, episode 5 of Acolyte was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I don't care. I'm not watching it.
It changed my entire thought process on the series.
Oh wow!
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding.
Okay.
I went back and watched every episode again because of it.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I'm not. The fact that you had to do that, and the fact that no, I'm done. I'm done.
Probably the third best lightsaber fight of any Star Wars thing ever.
Wow.
I feel like can I just say that's kind of been Disney's Star Wars MO, where like Kenobi, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, like
the first half of that season sucked.
Yeah, I was like, bro, what is I'm like watching the boring part of Lord of the Rings or something. But that scene, the scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan like facing down, like that scene.
Oh, legit.
Maybe it's top 3 Star Wars moments ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's up there. 100%.
Right.
Well, now I got to go watch it, so we'll see. So, again, we hope you enjoyed this. Again, we're not journalists. We're just fans trying to give our opinion, our thoughts on all these different things, all Oklahoma sports. So come back and join us. That's Jared. That's Troy. I'm Daryl. We're having a great time. We hope you are too. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.